Sound design. Number 2, pitch. Hello, everybody. It's Daryl Dawes, your blind musician friend again. And today, we are going to talk about pitch. Okay? Now, this is a sound design technique. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my voice area. So I'm going into voice. And I'm going to make sure where I'm at with my users settings. Okay, so after you pick this, okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to need to pick a sound that you don't mind getting rid of. Okay, and also let me just recap. A lot of the sounds in the user area, with the exception of the ones you placed there, are all factory placed, and they're basically copies of sounds that are in the banks you can't change. Okay, so if you erase something, you really don't have to worry about it. But if you really are worried about it, save your stuff to a USB. There is a video out there. I forgot what the lady's name is. I think her name is, I don't remember exactly what her name is. But I did take note that she did a pretty good job at explaining how to save your sounds. I don't do that right now. Because I'm working on getting content out for you guys. So I just work with what's in here already. So I'm going to initialize the sound. So what you do is you hit job. Where's job? Yeah, great, he's telling me to hit job. Where is that? Okay, so job is, if you saw my video on click method, job is down here by enter. There's 3 buttons, and the first one is edit, the next one is job, and the next one is store. Okay, so we're gonna hit job. We're gonna hit enter twice. Now, remember in previous videos how I told you to press a key on the keyboard to see if the process is happening? In this case, it's not gonna go silent. It's gonna go straight to a piano. Now notice this. Hear that? How it's just hanging in there? This is the raw sound. They want you to do the work, okay? And the reason why you do sound design is if you're writing a song, you're not gonna be able to, find the sounds that you want all the time, because the factory only goes so far. So you have to get in here and tweak the sound yourself. What I wanna mention though is there are 2 areas for sound design. Once you press edit, which I'm gonna do now, okay? Once you press edit, you have common, okay, where you make all common parameter settings for the entire sound. So that means if you use 8 elements, all 8 elements are gonna have these common settings, okay? I'm not going to talk about common this time around. We're going to talk about pitch, okay? So, but I'm going to recap something here. To pick an element, there are buttons all the way to the right, and they're set up like an 8, okay? And there's 3 rows of 8. The bottom row closest to the keys mutes your element. So here's our piano sound. I'm gonna hit the first key, okay, or the first button, and that silences the element, okay. Well, why would I do that, you say? Well, if you have more than one element going in the sound that you're designing, and you want to make minute changes or even drastic changes to one element, but you can't really tell maybe something because of the other elements that are clouding your judgment on how much to EQ or how much to do this or that to it. So this is the reason why you'd want to do that. So let's pick element 1. I'm going to make sure my sound is there. Element 1, to pick it, the next row of buttons up from the bottom, excuse me, is where you select your elements 1 through 8. You have 8 elements or 8 oscillators to choose from. Okay. And just to recap, you have under the screen your F1 or your SF1 through SF6 is the first set of buttons right under the screen. The second row of buttons is your straight, just no SF, it's just straight F1 through F6. We're going to press F1, and we're going to also press SF1. Okay. This is, just to recap, this is where you pick your other settings for the element that you're working with. You can turn it off by going up using click method. Go up to the left, all the way up to the left, top left, right? So that means you're going to use both up arrow and left arrow to get there. And you'll know that you're there because when you press the yes or no button or the positive and negative button, or even turn the data wheel, we'll do the same thing. Turn it clockwise, turn it counterclockwise. Okay, this turns on and off the element. That's cursor right. If you have a flash ROM installed, this is where you pick your samples that you've made yourself. Okay, I don't have flash ROM installed, no big deal. We can still get through this. Okay, I'm just going to recap because this there's other things in this screen, but this video is really about pitch. Let's go down from the top right twice, or no, once. Go down once. Let's pick a category. I'm going to go with synth just because it's easier to understand what's happening. Okay, so here's my first, here's my synth category. I'm going to go down 1 and pick the wave I want. I'm going to go, I'm going to put my thumb on the shift, and I'm going to, you can either turn the data wheel or you can press the increment, decrement buttons. I'm going to hit the increment button once. Let's see, I should have twice. So what that did is it jumped over waves by 10. We actually, since we hit twice, we went 20. And I'm going to back up 1. Okay, here's the sawtooth. All right, let's go to pitch. So how did we get to pitch? You press F2 and F1, or SF1. F2, then SF1. Go to the top left, make sure where you are. This is for element edit. It's a whole different story and ball game for drum edit. We'll probably get into that later on another video. Okay, here is where you can change your pitch half steps, okay, by semitone. Okay, and let me tell you, just to be sure, I'm gonna do something. Oops. Okay, so I have to. Okay, hang on. Let me fix things real quick. Because what I wanted to show you was. Hold on. What did I do? Okay. Oh, I forgot my own steps here. Because I'm gonna. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going back. I had to start over again, guys. So here's my piano, and here comes our synth. And go over here. All right, so we have that back. Okay, so what you have to remember, I'm back in pitch mode, okay? What you have to remember is that there are 2 sides of this in this screen. So you go up, you want to make sure you remember what key you're in. Okay, so here's full octave, right? I just raised it up an octave. And it goes down pretty low. So 12, as you know, 12 clicks will take you back down to the octave. Okay, so I used the decrement button and went back down. You can also use the shift shift decrement or increment, and you can also use, so you got shift, you can use the decrement, or you can use the increment. You can also use the data wheel. This jumps you through the numbers faster, okay? So I put it back on 0. Let's click over, let's click down 1. So down arrow, this is where you can do fine tuning. Same thing here, it's got 2 sides to it. You can go negative or positive, so you really want to be careful. So what I'm gonna do just for this video, I'm gonna add a second oscillator, okay? Just so you can see what's happening here. Actually, in our case here, right? Okay, so let's see. I'm going to silence element 1. I'm going to pick the exact same wave, okay? Exact same wave. All right, now I'm going to turn 2 elements on. Okay, there are 2 waves happening there. Okay, I'm picking element 2 now to demonstrate what I'm trying to show you with this pitch, okay? So here's our top left. This might be actually a better way if you're going to deal with pitch, you know, that way, especially if you're going to use it for music, okay? If you're going to use it for sound effects, it's a different story. At the end of this video, I will actually show you something I did, but I'm using Portamento, but we'll get into that later, okay? But I still had to use pitch to set it all up, so you'll see what I mean. Okay, so here we go. We're back down to everybody's at 0. Let's go down 1. Now this is where you fine tune. Hear that? See, listen. Now I'm gonna do it again. This is where you can start creating some difference in tuning, okay? And you can get pretty out there. See? So there's that. Let's see if I can get it back to normal. There it is, back to 0. So this also has 2 sides, negative and positive. Be careful. There is another thing in this screen. I think this might be it. Let's find out. Nope, that's not it. This screen's is this it? Notice how I have to keep hitting the key. This is the only way we're going to know as blind users about our sound when we're sound designing. So it might get pretty annoying for other people if you're in a house with other people. But for this video, I have to have it up so you can hear what's happening. You might want to turn your keyboard down or do it in a headset or something. Okay, this is the only thing I want to talk about further in this particular screen is micro tuning. Micro tuning, awesome. It's awesome. I think this is where you can do it. Let's check, make sure here. Let's silence element 1. Hang on. I'm trying to figure out if this is the place. Okay. No. All right. That's common. Okay. So we won't be talking about microtuning today. So what's happening here then is you have your fine tune and you have one other thing underneath the fine tune. I'm going to make some drastic changes to that area to find out exactly what's going on here. I have a feeling it has something to do with velocity, but I don't have any velocity set up. So that is not going to be very useful. So the only things I really use in this screen are the very first 2 things. The pitch and the fine tuning, okay? Now, let me just tell you about some other things, options here. If you press SF2, this is going to take you to a screen where you can change the velocity of the pitch. But keep in mind, most of these things in this screen, you know, really what you want to do is use your cursor, find the spot, find something on the screen that you want to change. So you take it to the top left as an example to start there. Use your shift key to jump a couple of, you know, like by tens. So when you use when you hold down the shift key with your thumb, you can move the data wheel with your finger, your index finger, or you can use the increment and decrement buttons. This way you can see if anything's happening to the sound. If nothing's happening, guys, it generally means that you have to make other changes in other areas for that to actually take place. For instance, I'll give you an example. SF3. Let's talk about that. Let's use we'll use the same element. I'm using element 2, but you can use element 1 if you want to follow along. Top left. Always go to top left. Start there. I use the shift key and the data wheel to make my changes. In this case, sometimes you're going to need to hold your key down for a minute to see if there's any changes. If there's no changes, go to the next selection, which I'm going to go right. I went right this time, clicked right one time, and let's see if we can make some changes here. Okay, no changes there. I'm going to go back to the left and take this back down. Okay. Now, keep in mind, in this screen, there's just still no sound change, right? Just keep playing around in this screen. Highlight something else, go down one. So there you go. Now you're dealing with pitch envelope generator. Okay. Now, because I made these changes here, I wonder if I go back now to the F2, go top left, and make some changes now. Okay, no real changes yet. Let's go down one. Let's go from here. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit, guys. So, no real changes yet that I was able to detect, because these are the same. Okay, here we go. Now I found something. So that's what you basically have to do in this particular screen, is keep messing with it until you get something right. And I wouldn't bank on your first run through with sound design, especially in the pitch area. It can get really messy, okay? Because you can start getting into you really have to be careful, especially in either, I think it's in this area, there's a random. So every time you hit the key, the starting note's going to be different. So watch out for that. When I encounter stuff like this, what I would do, guys, since we're blind users, is once you got your sound partially done, I'll give you an example. I'm going to exit. Okay, here's our beginning. Edit, element 1, SF1, SF1, and F1, right? Make sure element's on. Let's pick our synth again. We'll pick the same wave, wait. Yeah. Let's pick the same wave. Oops. Okay, so here's the same wave, our sawtooth. Okay, these are the raw sounds of the MOX8. These are the actual sounds, the waves that they use to build the sounds that you love. Okay, so this is where you pick all that. Now, what I was going to show you is with if you're dealing, I mean, it doesn't have to just be pitch, but if it's pitch or whatever it is, okay. Okay, we had two sawtooths, right? Let's get two of them. Let's see, silence that one. Oops. Yep, silence that one. There we go. Okay, and there's two sawtooths. Okay, so what I was going to say real quick is, all right. So let's say you're working on your pitch, okay, and it's like that's the setting you want. What I would do from here, guys, so you can continue to experiment, okay, is store it. Really, serious. Store this basic sound to make your complex sound, okay. That way you don't have to keep doing it over and over again in case you get caught in a pinch, okay. So the way you store your sound. Yeah, I'm gonna hit store. It's the same way as doing category search or saving sound, voice sound. You know, all your voices for your gigs. You saw that video, right? Okay, so we hit edit. Okay, so already it's sitting on the spot where I was working anyway. Of course, then you would hit store. Okay, I'm not gonna do that because this is not something I want to store. But you hit, I'm sorry, not hit store, you hit enter twice. And again, remember, before hitting enter, go back and hit edit to get back to your sound. After you pick your location, it's the same setup as category search when you're storing a sound from category search like we did in the click method. And it's actually the same as storing sounds for your gigs. The same setup. Top left is your user spot. Let's go back to edit. 3 user areas, right? Okay, got 3 user areas to pick from. Then the top right, or really this is the only, I believe this is the only 2 things in this screen. It's just those two boxes. So the right box is where you pick where you're gonna store your sound, which patch location. And then press edit, get back to your sound, press the enter button twice, and remember to press the key. As soon as you hear nothing, that means it's storing. Stop pressing the key, and let it complete its process. When it's done, the sound will be back. Just give it a couple of seconds, guys, like maybe 5 seconds to be sure, and then your sound will be back, okay? That's what I would do, okay? So, what else is in the pitch area? Well, let's talk about that. Also in the pitch area, you have SF4 to choose from. And SF4 is it's like so you could do key follow. You can set your pitch up to follow every time you go up on the keys. It follows. This is the area where you make those kind of changes. I'm not going to teach that today, okay? SF5, you can set up breakpoints. I'm not teaching that today either. I just wanted to show you the basic pitch stuff, so in case you want to create octaves or, you know, you're doing a sound and you want it to have that house feel. You can make it a minor or a major just by changing the element that's doing the harmony. Right? Just set it for a fifth. Here's a third. A major is third. Here's a fourth. Here's our our fourth sharp. Here's a five. Here's our fifth. Right? Okay. You can set it as an octave. And see, this is where they get some of these nice, you know, synth leads. This is kind of what they're doing. They're setting octaves with the elements. Okay, you can add a third element and pick a wave and continue on if you want. Okay. Now, I guess I will show you one thing in common, just so you can have a little more fun with this pitch thing. So, remember the buttons I showed you? Excuse me, the buttons I showed you on the right here, that are 8 buttons. Okay, and there's 3 rows. Okay, well, between the top row, which is at the back of the keyboard, by the back of the keyboard, going up towards the back, between that row and the row underneath, there's a button that sits by itself. There's nothing else around it. You know, there's no buttons in that row, just that one. That's your common button. Let's hit that. Okay. Now, important to know, SF1 and F1 is where you name your sound. That we're going to have help with. SF2, though, under F1, SF2, the first row buttons under the screen is the SF row. SF2, top left, you have where you can change from poly to mono. If you are, by default, every sound comes in poly. So you're going to hit your negative button, or you turn your data wheel one click counterclockwise, and now you have mono. Right? So, next to mono, this is where you find I think this is where you find, let me see. Let me just double check before I tell you guys. Okay, I believe this is where you can set also your function keys on the left here. You can tell them, have it locked or, you know, or latched or whatever they call it, and then you can actually have it to where every time you press it and let go, it doesn't stay latched. It goes back to the original sound that you were playing with. But we won't get into that either because that is a whole different subject. Portamento, if you want portamento, I believe you'll find that in SF3. Okay, and here there's at least 3 boxes to play with, maybe a couple more. I don't spend a lot of time here. I did for the sound I'm going to show you in a minute, but other than that, I didn't really spend a lot of time here. So this is common edit, and we'll get into more of that because there's a lot of things you can pick here as well. Okay. Keep in mind that, like I said, common edit is going to be where you make changes for the entire sound, all elements. It applies to all elements. Okay. So that's all I have to offer for this video on pitch. Okay. So hope you enjoyed this video, and as promised, I'm going to show you a sound that I created. I don't think you'll hear the bass, only because I don't have that set up. Let me make sure I pick it. Okay, so this is I'm not gonna have the bass in, but this is my interpretation of a plane. It took me some time. I'm still working on it, but just to give you an idea of sound design and how far you can go. It goes beyond music, guys. So, if you like this video, please hit that like button and let YouTube know that you're digging my content and that you want to hear more or see more. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Have a good day. God bless. And off we go. Okay, guys, there you have it. That's one of the sounds I created. All right, so God bless and have a good day.